Yeah, absolutely, because it's what it does to you as a human being that keeps us going. You're finding, the secrets that only we know about ourselves that are not that attractive, and you can never change them no matter what. They're still haunting you, or they're still there. You have the good stuff and the bad stuff, as the universe does, but the parts of my life that were not working are disappearing and have been disappearing for years. And I'm like, it doesn't matter what happened when you were 9 or any of that stuff, or 5, or any kind of trauma. All of it seems to be pushed to the back, and then eventually I don't feel it anymore. And it's a really interesting. That's the interesting part of it. And of course, through that is where the benefits in the environment, such as monetary or relationships, or we start to show up because you're changing in the depth of your life. It's quite interesting.
So
Larry Coryell's also very involved. Kenwood Denard. There's a lot of cats that are doing it.
So how can our listeners find out more about that then?
Well, if you want to know more, there's sgi-usa.org. You could go there, and it will give you the entire rundown. SGI is a value-creating society, they call it. It's an organization where the people who chant hang out and get more understanding. That's where all the books are, and that's there's people that have been chanting 30, 40 years that can lead you to, and there's no money involved. There's no scams. It's just people who feel as good about it as I do.
All right. Well, let's check out Actual Proof. Mike Clark playing with Herbie Hancock. That's a great story, and here's the music that resulted from it. Actual Proof, Herbie Hancock and the Headhunters. The monumental track, Actual Proof, from Herbie Hancock and the Headhunters, one of our favorites here on the Burnt Toast Show. We've got Mike Clark, the drummer, on that track on the phone. He's got a new album out called Blueprints of Jazz Volume 1. We're going to play one more track from that. Mike, I want to thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us and talking about your new stuff. What else do we need to know about what's going on with Mike Clark now?
Well, thanks, Todd. Thanks for having me on the show. It's been fun talking to you, that's for sure.
It's my pleasure.
I appreciate it. Let's see. What am I doing now? I'm leaving tomorrow. Today I'm playing with Mike Wolf. Michael Wolf, the piano player, who also has a record out on the charts right now. In fact, the Turkey, he's one above me. I'm number 8, and he's number 7. We were laughing about it at rehearsal yesterday. His record's called Joe Strut, written for Joe Zawinul. And we're going to do a gig at a museum today in New York, and tomorrow I'm leaving for Frankfurt to record with the Frankfurt Radio Big Band, and they're going to do a couple of my charts, actually. Let's see. We're going to do some shows with the band from the record, or as close to it as we can get, because I have a band full of band leaders, so it's hard to get everybody at the same time.
Yep.
I knew that was going to be a thing, but I couldn't resist doing it anyway. I'm doing that. We have a Headhunters record coming out later this year.
Who's in the band now?
Donald Harrison, Bill Summers, Jerry Z on keyboards, and Richie Goods on bass.
Okay.
On this particular CD, and actually I got a CD. That CD is out in Europe and Japan, and I have another release from a band I had called Prescription Renewal years ago. It's out in Japan now. It's with Charlie Hunter, Fred Wesley, Robert Walter, Skerrick on saxophones, and myself on drums. And I think DJ Logic may be on a track or two, but maybe not. I don't know what they did there because I haven't heard the final. I sent them the mixes. They haven't sent me a CD yet.
Well, I've got it on order, so we will be playing that liberally on the radio show because that's like a rundown of everybody that we play on the show. On
the site. Oh,
yeah.
I didn't. Okay, so that's great. Well, check out this one groove called Inside Straight. It's a Cannonball Adderley tune, and it's straight up funky. It's my favorite cut on the CD.
We will play that. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
And, I'm doing my jazz gigs around New York, like all of us that live in New York are, and I'm also a clinician. I do a lot of it. I do a lot of traveling as a drum clinician. I do a lot of in-stores, and I do a lot of colleges.
Well, I'm a drum teacher when I'm not doing this and playing out in the clubs. So tell me, as a clinician, what do young drummers need to know? What is it that what's the thing that they need to know right now?
Well, I think that one thing that they could think about is this. Now, not like I was saying about producers and what have you. Not all. I mean, there's no monolithic group of people on earth. Each is an individual.
Right.
I notice many students that I have can play tremendously fast, and they can play with a double pedal faster than I can with my entire body, and all of this. It's about some speed, and they're watching these drum videos.
There's a lot of those.
I'm sorry?
There's a lot of those drum videos where it's guys with 8 pedals playing really fast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and these guys come to my gigs, and I've asked them to come up and play, and they can't play with a band. Never mind swinging. They don't know a thing about jazz. But they kind of know a little about funk because they're eighth-note drummers. But they're not funky either. And I tell them right away, listen, that's great. Believe me, I like all that solo stuff. Everybody likes somebody that put a lot of time in on something. But if you can't get funky, or you can't swing, and you can't play for other people, by the time you reach the age that to make those drum videos, that style you're playing will already be defunct. It'll be gone. And who knows whether you'll be able to garner the fortune to be on one of those drum videos. Even now, there's only 4 or 5 main cats, and they all sound like they all kind of play the same.
And they don't play
Not
on
exactly,
anybody's
you
records, right? They don't play on anybody's records. Nobody's going to know who they are in 10 or 15 years.
Well, I wouldn't ask any of those guys to play a Fat Boy Shuffle on my gig.
Right.
I'll tell you that. So I don't hear any blues or any of that. Now, some of these guys are brilliant. I gave a listen to a guy the other day that's got all that stuff, and he can also play great Latin and great funk. So there's always exceptions to the rule. But for the most part, I would say learn to play music, and then you're going to work and make a living, and people are going to call you to do their dates. Learn to play music with other human beings. World's in a tough place right now, so for people to take the time out of their life to watch one guy blast around the drum set and be, it's like the statement that I feel is being made is "watch me," and I'm like, well, maybe. I mean, like I got rent to pay here, and I got things I want to do, so it doesn't seem like emotionally they're digging down or humanistically very deep. Like one size doesn't fit all, but I teach a lot of these guys, and they have. I like the drumming technique. I like that. But with no music, no groove, no pocket, no funk, no soul, no harmony, no swing, no grit, no. It's like watching a movie with nothing but car chases in it. It's like, well, where's the beef, bro?
Yeah.
I mean, when the hallmark of the drummer became how fast he rolls on the. I mean, I got fast hands, and if I wanted to, I could practice for 3 or 4 months rolling all over the place and make that my whole bag of tricks. But what about the saxophone players? What about the pianists, the bass players, the guitar players, trumpet players? Those cats they do not care how fast one plays. They want to know, how's this going to feel? Can you take care of business?
Right.
Can you get funky? Can you make it feel good?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's my opinion. So, that doesn't mean it's gospel, but it's gospel to me and for me.
Absolutely.
Well,
we want to thank you so much. We're going to play one more track from your new disc, and Blueprints of Jazz Volume 1 by Mike Clark. You should check it out. Patrice Rushen on piano, Christian Scott on trumpet, Donald Harrison on the alto saxophone, Judd Levy on the tenor saxophone, and Christian McBride on the acoustic bass, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the folks.
And we're going to play a track called Clark Kent. So what do you want to tell us about this one before we
Christian
shuffle
wrote
off?
this for me, and he brought it in, and he just walked up and put it on my music stand with a big smile on his face, and I looked at the title. He never said a word. We smiled at each other, that sly grin. He went over and counted it off, and we recorded it, and there it is.
All right. Well, thank you so much for talking to us, Mike. And anytime you want to come back on and talk with us, we'd love to have you. So
listen, thank you so much, Todd. And listen, I'll let you know when I'm headed towards the Jazz Kitchen. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
And come down and hang out and sit in and play a couple and the whole nine, and we'll talk about everything there is to talk about.
Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.